for our runtime, simple on runtime iFlow. You guys must have received a mail from Bharat uh, that the document. Have you gone through the document which you have received from Bharat, the configuration document, the demo flow configuration document, and I guess as of now everybody should have configured the demo flow in their Eclipse. Okay, and that too without any executive checks error. I'm expecting that everybody is done till that step. Okay. I'm not expecting that you might be knowing the certificate based configuration or all those things, but the basic things which at that day I showed, it is understood by you guys and the iFlow you have created. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. We have done that one.
You have done. Okay. Okay.
Yes, and we have done that. So we'll move forward. We'll see that.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello, Hasanat. Hello, Sanat. We are able to hear you. Sanat, your voice is lost here.
Sorry guys, sorry guys. Pradeep and Karthik are also there in the document. Um, Bharat, can you make me presenter please again? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, Sanat.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sanat. They are audible.
You are audible. For past 5 minutes, you are not audible.
Yeah, yeah, it has to happen. Can you make me presenter, please? Possible? So, uh, guiding as of now, I haven't shared. So now we are jumping on to certificate-based authentication or communication. We will be also understanding the little bit of what exactly message containers are. Okay, so message container is something newer concept which is being developed specifically for your HCI. Okay, so we'll understand what is message container. In the practical sessions also we will see the use of that message container. Okay. So first of all we'll understand the certificate based communication. So as of now, uh, uh, if you guys know what exactly certificates are, private key certificate and public key certificate, these certificates are generally, means the certificates are um, initially there are two certificates, self-signed certificate and the authorized signed certificate. So if I'm talking about self-signed certificate, it is just validating your by yourself the system that you're you are an authenticated sender and receiver can receive the data with the proper handshake. But in the certificates which are provided by the authorization, the certificate of authorization, you have to first of all buy the certificate from the authorized uh, provider, which are, there are so many in the markets. So you can buy the certificate from any of the authorization team, and then you can import into your system. I'm talking about the on-premises system. So let's say my ECC wants to send a data to my HCI. Okay, and in HCI the certificates are inbuilt. Okay, that of X X5 5065 certificates. Okay, so it's if a sender, if a system wants to send a data to my HCI, and they want to have a certificate-based authentication. So first thing first, we have to keep your sender system public key certificate will be taken once they will provide this certificate, and that will be uploaded in the SAP load balancer trust store. Okay, so day before yesterday when I configured my HCI scenario, what I did, I was uh, I showed a step where I imported a certificate in uh, from my sender. What I did, I right clicked on the sender and I imported the certificate of my sender system. Okay, so this is basically done to authenticate my sender system for HCM. Okay, so it and would be this won't require my HCA for the user ID, password, credentials. Once I have the certificate authentication or I have imported the certificate, I won't require the user ID and password each time my same sender is sending the data to HCM. Okay, the certificate contains those details also in there. Okay, so this SAP load balancer firewall, whatever the firewall is, this is not only specific to my HCI box, it is universal to all my SAP cloud solutions. Okay, so this firewall is common for all. Okay, so if I have to send the data to my HCI to any SAP cloud, then there would be an SAP load balancer firewall which is present. Okay, which will stop the data, the unauthorized data outside the cloud network. Okay, so this is how SAP is doing the, uh, this is where SAP is stopping the unauthorized or uh, n- not accessible data to the SAP cloud. Okay, so what you will do, take the public key certificate and place in the SAP load balancer firewall, okay, which we did that day. Okay, we imported our certificate and we authenticated our sender system. Okay, and then again at the sender communication channel, I again imported the certificate for further authentication. If you see here, I again imported that same certificate. So you have two level of security if you have certificate based communication, then you have two level of security and your data is highly secured in the HCI. But this is not the case when you are going with the basic authentication. Okay, in basic authentication, you won't be requiring certificates here. Okay. If I click on the user or the basic authentication, okay, so for that you just require the user ID passwords for your HCI. Okay, you won't be requiring the certificate from okay. We will see in our field package content configuration also that you would be having two types of authentication from the sender side. You will be first having the um, user ID password type of authentication at the ECC, and where we will be doing the SM59 configuration and certificate based authentication. Okay. So this is about the
Sanat,
sender
Shankar
system.
here.
Yes,
Shankar
sir.
here. One question, Sanat. See, there are two types of certificates. One is signed and unsigned certificate, right? When you do it from the
Uh,
client, you need to go with the signed certificate, and server it's unsigned certificate. So, right now you are talking about client to server, correct? It's a signed
correct.
certificate, but see, if this client certificate, who has to provide this client certificate?
Yes. So this client certificate, if means sender system has to provide, and if in case your sender system is ECC, then it's base system which will go to the S trust of their ECC and they will download it. Or you can also do that. That is a simple step. Okay. Um, and if it is the cloud as your sender, then and they are doing the certificate based communication, then they will download the certificate from their com channels. When I'm talking about the C4C, there are com channel communication channels there also, from where you can download this certificate and send it to us as an integration guy, and we will import that to our iFlow. Okay.
So, if my understanding is correct, so always the sender will send the certificates to the receiver system load the certificate, correct?
Receiver system, that being our middleware, correct?
Whatever, see for example, if ECC is sending a message and HCI is receiving, so we need to download the ECC client certificate and load it in the uh, HCI system, correct?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Correct, you're correct.
Like like this, like in each interface you need to do that, or once for all we need to do that?
Yes, sir, you have to do it for each interface. There is no one central repository to keep the certificate.
Okay, okay, fine.
Now, that was the case at the sender side. Okay. At the receiver side, there is no SAP load balancer or any SAP firewall existing. Okay. So, if in case you want to send the data from SAP to any third party or any system, ECC third party cloud, there, if the third party system requires an authentication, then you would require to place the user credentials or certificate, and if it does not require any credential or any type of authentication, you can directly send the data from HCI to third party, which we did that day also. Let me show you in the receiver channel configuration first, where in the adapter receiver, I did not configure or and I did not put any authentication. In authentication, I kept this none. Okay. So this firewall or this load balancer, it is only existing at the sender end, and at the receiver end, it all depends what type of authentication the user is doing. Okay, the user or the third party or the receiver system is doing. Okay, so you yes, we must have the server root certificate of the connected system. That is not mandatory. Let's say um, your receiver system is an ECC system, just in a hypothetical situation for understand. My receiver system is ECC system, and my ECC system wants this authentication to be done, or the communication should be of certificates. So what I will do in that case, I will download my certificates, my own HCI certificates, and I will provide the ECC system the certificate for configuring their SM59 or their channel which will connect to my HCI. Okay. So how to do that? Uh, there are two basic ways. If you remember the first day, I showed you one PPT. This one. I showed you this PPT. In this PPT, I told you there is one option called certificate information. Okay. In the initial mail which you receive from SAP, there is one option called certificate information. So from here you may directly download HCI certificates. Okay, the root certificate from this link. Okay, so this link generally is with your customer or the admin team. Okay, generally they have that um, certificate link. So there is an alternate way also. What you can do, you can go to your Eclipse tenant. Okay, and if you are the administrator, or if you have all the access to process your message, you can download your certificates from your browser. Okay, so once it gets authenticated, you can view the information. Okay, you will see some secure connection. Okay, and for this you will have some certificate information. Okay, so let's see if you some certificates.
Anand, what is the difference here between client certificate and root certificate? Root certificate is your server certificate, a public key, or what is that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Correct. Root certificates are a public key certificate, and your client certificates. You know the basic difference between public and private key certificates.
Correct. Yeah, I know
So the
that.
same. Yeah, the same.
Okay. So in this slide, HCA must have server root certificate is public key, right? We have to download
Correct.
the public key from HCA and send it to the receiver system. They have to load the certificate for authentication.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to do that, but the thing is now my Chrome. Let's change this settings. One second. Earlier, what happened was just click here. You can click here and you can download the certificate for your communication. That was possible through the Chrome. One second. From here, you can download certificate. This is, recently changed. I will show you how to download this certificate. Let me come back on it. Okay. There is some change in the browser settings. Earlier what it was that you can download the certificate, view the site information, and you can download the certificate from here itself. And those certificates could be sent to the your third party, which they can import. So I told one way was either to through that link, whatever the link which was provided in the uh, your initial mail which you received from SAP, or from the browser itself. So once you configure, once you go inside your HCI tenant, your by default certificates are loaded in your browser. So you can download those certificates and you can provide them to your receiver system if required. Okay, so if they require a certificate-based communication, then you can provide it because this is my HCI tenant. I have logged into this. Okay, and for that login, user ID login, I have some certificates in my background which automatically got loaded to this browser. So I wanted to download those certificates. Earlier it was possible. Okay. One second, I'm just checking on Google. Or I will check it, I will let you know tomorrow. I don't want to waste your time. Okay. Anyway, so we'll see, we can download the certificate and we can provide it to our server for a proper handshake. Okay, so that your third party or receiver system is aware, which is aware or allows a authorized data from our HCI. Okay, so this is about my certificate-based communication. I'll be sending a detailed document on what exactly public key certificates are and private key certificates are, because that is again I don't want to deviate from topic. It's kind of a bit technical, okay, bit lengthier in technical side. So you can read out that document and you can understand what exactly those certificates means. But in case of our HCI, there would be certificate required at the sender end by the sender system, and at the receiver end, if it's required, then only we would go with the certificate based communication. else we can go with the basic authentication also, or it would be no authorization also, authentication also. But as per SAP, the recommended authorization or authentication type is certificate, because it is more secure and your data would be encoded with your encryption. Your encryption would be done better on your certificate based authentication. So kind of that is recommended, but that is not hard and fast. Okay, so that is about it. Any questions on certificate? Else I will just jump on to the message container. Okay, so what exactly message container is, today we will understand, and tomorrow we will be understanding the message persistence. I guess someone was trying to speak, someone unmuted. Hello? Hey, am I audible? Yes, I am.
Yes, Sanat, you're audible.
So now I am jumping on to the message container. Okay. Um, Message container in the message. This is the new concept which is only provided or only available in your HANA Cloud Integration and not even in your PI. Okay. Uh, for those who this is purely on XML type. For those who don't know XML, um, please go through the XML, what exactly XML are, what your schemas are, and that would be very much required in these sessions, in later classes, okay, because XML is on which we will be doing our testing. Yesterday also day before yesterday also we uh, tested our scenario on XML. So if you don't know XML, please go through the XML on your through Google or any website, or if you want, I can send and document also on the XML. Okay. So first of all, message container. So in XML message, any message which you receive in your HCI, okay, or your PI, it contains three things: header, attachment, and body. Okay. Your header contains the data with uh, uh, with things like your authorization detail. Okay, your from where the data, from where to where the data is going, the sender detail, the receiver detail. So that data is present in the header of your message. Okay, your attachment contains things like the mail attachment or something, whatever. If you want to attach to the message, that is not mandatory, but that portion is available with your message which you send to your PI or HCI. Okay. And third thing is your body. Body is your actual payload which is transferred from your sender to receiver. So what would be your actual payload? That XML message will contain your data. Okay, so that is your actual payload which is sent through that body. Okay, in your any integration tool, it's not specific to your HCA. But in HCA, what SAP has done is they have attached one more um, uh, event or one more option to the message called property. Okay, this property option, it allows you to keep the data, means there is a unique number which is present for each message to process through your HCI. Okay, so under this process, this property event, SAP keep that unique number in an variable. Okay, which would be same throughout the processing of that message. Okay, and you can also create new variables in this property event, which you can use in the later points. Okay, now where exactly this property helps is, okay, so let me show this through the live scenario. I'm going to my Eclipse. Let's take an example of uh, success factor employee central. Okay, that could be the yes, not third party and this is what employee central with ERP employee database. Just opening this iFlow. So let's say this is one of your complex processing. Okay, and this is your main processing. Okay, so in this you can see a single message is going outside your network. Single message is going outside your network and it is coming back, and to that same message we are doing further processing. Okay, so your header of your message, whatever message is which is saved, whatever the details are which are saved in your header, those are getting changed after each time your message go out of your network or there is some modification to your header. So if you so to keep a uniformity in the message, or to keep one uh, event or one option which is uniform throughout the processing of that message, SAP has created given one more header option called property. Okay, we will see in the uh, this configuration. Means if I do the iFlow configuration in my Eclipse. Okay, so how to do message container? There is a message transformation called content modifier. I can pick it here. I will place this content modifier. Okay, and for that content modifier, I have these three things available. I have a header, I have a property, and I have a body. Okay, your attachment details are not directly visible, so that is not taken care here. Okay, attachment is something attached to your message and it could be at the sender adapter itself. Okay, and it will be converted to my payload. Okay, so that would be my body. So you have header and your property. Okay, your header of the message would be changed multiple times. If I say, let's say I have a query in between this message to my success factor. So how do I do the query? I go to the others. I have one receiver in between this message. Okay, in this between this message, and I have an I have a service call. Okay. This is sending my data. What it is doing, it is sending data outside my network, and I'm getting a response back. Okay, I'm doing again a channel configuration. Okay, here I can again assign some adapter, and I will do that specific configuration. So the message which I have received from the soap sender, the header data would be changed altogether. Okay, okay. This would be changed altogether. So to keep some uniformity in my message and keep one unique number to my message processing, SP has provided called event called property in the message itself. Okay, we'll see how these things work in later classes in practical classes. Okay, so you have properties are like header itself, and you can use them to store name value pair till the life of the message. Okay, uh, use variable for use across message processing. So we can assign variables, we can create variables which would be valid across the HCI integration. Okay, and there is something called this variable lifespan. So this variable property, the variable which I have defined in my property, those would be valid for some particular time. So that particular time is the processing of that message. And if I want to make it as globally present, okay, so there would be two type of variables. Okay, uh, there is something called global variables and something called local variables. Okay. So in property, I can create or delete. I will give some name to variable, say test one. Okay. Now, what type of this variable is? Okay. This variable is this constant? Is this XPath? Is this header? Is this a local variable or a global variable? Okay. There is something called external parameter. External parameter, you have something here called externalized parameter, which we will see in the latest class how to configure the externalized parameter. But as of now, just think of it as your uh, place where you keep your data and you can access it later. Okay. So we were concentrating about local variable and global variable. So when I specify local variable, this variable would be only available in my this processing of this iflow. Okay, so once the message has entered, you have assigned that variable test1, and as soon as this message leaves my HCI, that property and that variable, that property event would be clipped off from my message, and my actual message would be sent to the receiver system. Okay, because receiver system is not concerned about what property is and what that variable means to your HCI. Okay, so it is only available till the message last in the HCI. Okay, so here you create variables, you can create your own variables, you can create some constants in the later process. So general example where we will be using this variable is at the start of the message. Let's say at the start of my iFlow, I have received one IDOC from my ECC system. Okay, just assume that I am getting an IDOC from my ECC system. Okay, and I have to use that IDOC number, whatever the IDOC number which is coming in the IDOC message. I have to use that at the receiver adapter to place a file with that number. So at the receiver adapter or at the receiver system, what we do, we have to use that IDOC number and will be using the file which would be generated at the receiver end should contain the IDOC number in its file name. Okay. So for PI guys, you must have done the advanced, the ASL and the variable substitution in your PI. Okay, means that was only uh, concentrated, means it was only specific to your adapters. Okay, but this is also one situation where you can use this variable. Okay, this test one. Let's say test one. That is an X path. Okay, I can assign the path of my IDOC from where my IDOC number is coming. Okay, and this test one I will use in my SFTP adapter or file adapter at the receiver end, and I can use this variable to create the file name of the message. Okay, so this would be my local variable because this is only concentrated to that processing of message. Okay, and if let's say I want to create one global variable, so in global variable I will just assign it as global variable, and it would be available for the next subsequent iflows also in the HCI. Okay, but that is there is a limit. It is available for certain period of time only. Okay, but you can use global variable and local variable in your HCI. Okay, so a local variable can be used only within the integration flow, and global variable can be used across integration flow in an tenant. Okay, so if you have created a local variable uh, in your content modifier, then it would be available for that iflow only. But if you have created a global, then it would be for other tenant also to access that variable. Okay, we will see where that scenario will come into picture. Let's understand the architecture of the message which is getting processed or which is getting flown in your HCI. Okay, so first of all you have your uh, in message. So this is your in message on the left hand side, on the right hand side. I'm explaining this diagram. Don't go with the whatever the content I have written. Okay. So the in message content header, attachment, and body. Okay. My out message also contained the same thing: header, attachment, and body. This would be something modified message, or the same message also it can be my in message and out message. But this what my HCI did, it attached something called exception. So exception, sorry, first of all your exchange ID. This exchange ID is a unique ID which SAP attached to each message which is coming to the HCI, means it's a unique ID to identify the exchange message through your HCI. Okay, that is a unique ID to identify a message. Okay. Then you have MEP. So MEP is exchange, a message exchange pattern. Okay. Uh, so which type of message exchange pattern are you working on? Is this the message of type JMS messaging, or you have the HTTP based transport protocol? So all those details, means if it's a REST type of protocol, so what type of that protocol is and what type of that message is, those details are saved in your MEP container of your message. Okay. The third thing comes is your exception. So exception is an event container which keeps the record of any error which is occurring while processing of your message. So if any error occurs during runtime, the exception field will be filled with the error message, and that would be visible in your monitoring. Okay, and then you have the property, the newest thing, which is only available in your HCI is not property. Similar, this is similar to header, which I told you, but they last for the duration of entire exchange of your message. They contain local level information, global level information. You can store and retrieve property details at any point during the lifetime of the exchange. Okay, so this is the new concept which is available in your HCI. Okay, um, I guess it is quite theoretical, but once we create our scenarios, we will be configuring our scenarios on OData, okay, in the next class, okay. So there we will be understanding where exactly my message containers comes into picture. Okay. In live scenario, we will be understanding this thing. Then one more concept called message persistence. Okay. As of now, we think our integration tool as a transactional tool, which does not keep the data of the transaction. Okay, means if you want to view the payload or if you want to save something that was not directly possible on your PL, you cannot save the runtime data to some place, to some database, something like that. That is not yet possible in your PA. But in HCI, what they are given is they have given some simple database where you can store your variables. Okay. So how to store your variables? I'm going back to my Eclipse. I'm showing you right away. Okay. So there is an event called message persistence. Okay. And we have three options: data store operation, persist messages, and write variables. Okay, so we will just understand the uh, data store operation. I will just click on the data store operation and I will place it in between this. Okay, I'm deleting this receiver. Okay, and this write variable, there is this box says write. Write means you can write something to your HCI database. Okay. And it's not a complex table or something like your in-memory concept or something like that. It's a simple table. It's a simple table where you will save your variable data. Okay. And that too, you will give the data store name. Okay. So here in write, it is saying give the data store name. Tell me the visibility of this variable. Is it only the integration flow? Will that be valid for only this integration flow, or will it be valid for all the global variables, all the global integration flow? Okay, the subsequent integration flow or any integration flow which is getting processed after this message will be able to view that data store. Okay, so you can give some name, you can give your ID, okay, from where your data is coming. Okay, and that's it. For how many days that data should be stored in my HCI. Okay, and should this be an encrypted message, and if there is an existing message, then should I overwrite or should I add something to the suffix of the message and save that data store? Okay, so there are different events. So you must be aware of the different events in your data store. It would be write, it would be delete, it would be select or get. So just right click on this event and you can switch to the other operation also. You can go to delete operation, select operation, get operation. Okay. So if I want to select, this was right. Now if I want to select or get, means get from the database, then I have to provide the data store name, whichever I have saved already, whichever variable is already existing in my data store. I have to provide the data store name and the ID. Okay, so as soon as I give this data store name and ID, my variable would be loaded to my HCI runtime, and that variable data would be available. I can use it in my uh, scripts. I can use that in my communication channels. Okay, everywhere I can use. Okay, so this is how I write message and I get that message. Okay, and if I have to do the monitoring, then I can go to this tenant, my root node, and here there is one option called data store viewer. So in data store viewer, I can view all the data, all the variables which I have saved on my tenant, and these are visible. Okay, the content of these variable is not visible, but it will be only showing me that there is one variable which is present on my uh, tenant which has been saved. Okay, so if I do a write statement, then I will have one variable here. Okay, so in tomorrow's scenario, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we will be understanding how this write statement works and get statement works. Okay. Apart from that, we will be also understanding the message container, where exactly this message container comes into picture. Okay. Message container is very important point with respect to your HCI, because each standard iFlow, let me show you this iFlow, there would be multiple message container which are being specified. Okay, so as soon as a message comes, you have a message content, uh, this content modifier. As soon as it comes, after it reaches your destination, also you have the content modifier. So in sub process also you have multiple places where you have the message modifier. So why exactly this message modifier are, what is the required, what is the requirement of that message content modifier. We will understand these things in details, okay, in the further classes. Okay. So today's session would be for this message container. It would be bit, very much theoretical, but once we do a practical session on this, we will be understanding the concepts. Okay. Any questions on this? Hello, hello.
No, Sanath, I'm looking okay. So is there any kind of a working session you will show how the data will be stored to something like that?
Yes, sir, definitely.
Okay, okay, okay.
But slowly we will be raising the bar and raising the difficulty.
Yeah, in one
So
one interface we can add all the features one by one and see how that works. That's it.
yes, sir, we will do. In the OData configuration, tomorrow there will be again kind of little bit theoretical session on what exactly OData is and how that works. And while configuration of our OData, we will be understanding these concepts also. Okay, so with our GeoIP, we understood our uh, configuration of our sender and receiver and mapping. With OData, we will understand some more things. Okay, so slowly we will be raising our bars. Okay, I could have shown those things in my initial configuration itself, but uh, once I teach, and then I will raise those things. I will bring those things one by one. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Apart from this, any other questions, or else we can join tomorrow because it's already 9 or 6. You must have, you guys must have wanted to leave.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have this document also, the certificate-based authentic communication. I already sent you yesterday, correct? So it must be with you guys because you guys have received that document
Yes.
also, the configuration document. Hello.
Yes, and yesterday we received these documents, 3
Okay.
documents.
Okay. Yes. That is what I want to say. Anyway, okay, so let's meet up tomorrow again at the same time and we will understand the OData adapter. Okay. Um, I wanted some longer session someday, but still the time is not permitting me. Uh, anyway, let's see on weekends again we will be having longer sessions so that we can complete these things quicker and means I don't have to break the sessions into half means generally I do the OData adapter today itself. But anyway, we'll complete it on the weekend then. Okay. So let's meet up tomorrow, same time,
Okay, Srinath,
guys.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.